Hey guys, welcome to the Successfully Unemployed Show. My name is Dustin Heiner, and I'm here to help you learn how to quit that JOB, that just over broke job, by any means possible. So today, I am super excited to have a fantastic investor, business owner, and now friend. I have Dwan Bent-Twyford on the show with us as well. So Dawn, thank you so much for being on the show. And I keep saying Dawn, it's Dwan. I
It's
apologize because
Dwan. You gotta say Dwan.
I've never heard that name before, and then now it's just
I
like
have only heard it one other time, so
I love it. I love it. And
thank
you
you.
have the podcast called the Dwan Most Wonderful Real Estate Podcast, which is perfect.
I know. When I was starting my podcast, I had been on so many of them, and I thought, I should start one. I love doing interviews. And so I was trying to think of something, and everyone uses like a real estate name, which is great. And like I love yours. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do a play on my name because my name is so unusual anyway. So I just thought Dwan, and I was like, Dwanderful. Yeah, Dwanderful. Like, that's it. We're Dwanderful. This is the world of Dwanderful. And so I came up with that crazy name, just really trying to make it sort of fun.
Love it. So, Dwan, what do you do to provide for yourself and your family without working that job?
So I have been real estate investing for over 30 years, actually. So I've been doing it for quite a while. So this moment, we have a bunch of rentals. We own a bunch of commercial buildings, and we actually got involved in a little town in the Midwest. I know you like the Midwest, called Clinton, Iowa. And they're doing this, that's where my husband is from. I went back for a high school reunion. They're into this big rejuvenating the downtown. It's a little riverfront town that sort of like time just left. Everybody moved all the new businesses like away from downtown. So we got involved in this big giant downtown project. So over the last couple of years, we've bought 20 buildings. So I literally own like a quarter of the downtown, and we're refurbishing these buildings and bringing them back to all their natural beauty and opening little businesses. I've got 3 or 4 little retail businesses that I open, but the main, all of it is rentals like you. It's rentals, storage units. I mean, all of it rentals. We rehab a little bit. I mean, I guess we rehab because we're working on our buildings, but rehabbing to sell, we do, I don't know, just only a couple a year. I still wholesale maybe 20, 30 houses a year, but primarily we're living out the rentals and the commercial buildings and fixing up this cute town.
Love it. So, Dwan, we don't start there, but we have to start somewhere. So, what were you doing before all this, before you became successfully unemployed? And then talk about the nervousness and the fears that you had leading up to where you literally said, I'm done. I'm going to be on my own.
So I turned, and I know unless you were there, people don't get it, but I turned 21 in 1980. And I was living in Fort Lauderdale, from Ohio to Fort Lauderdale, living on my own. It was 1980s. And it was disco, and it was just a lot of indulgence, and I was doing the drugs and the cocaine and the champagne, and I was working in the bars, and I was just like, oh my God, life is so great. And somewhere at the end of my 20s, I got married and had a baby. And then when my baby was only 8 months old, my daughter Ayla, my husband and I split up. So now I was like, oh my God, I have an 8-month-old child. I have no job skills whatsoever. I was even fired from Denny's. Like, fired. I worked
Fired from Denny's
in the morning. Fired like 3:45 in the morning. Like, you're fired. Get out of the store. I was like, oh my God. So I had literally at 30 years old, I had a baby. No work skills, no college, no nothing. I had just been partying. I was like just an idiot, really. But I had waited till I was 30 to have a baby because I wanted to be the homeroom mom, the Girl Scout mom, the field trip mom, at the cool house mom where all the kids come over and we have a disco ball. And I wanted to do all that stuff. And now all of a sudden I don't have a job and I don't know what to do. And so I just kind of had like that's what I call, that was my come to Jesus moment. Where I was like, okay, I can either get a job, but I knew even at 30, even though I was like immature 30, I knew if I got a job, I would probably keep it till Ayla grew up because I would want that security of the career. So I thought if I get a job, I'll be 50 when she grows up. And then like, what do you do then? And I thought, well, I'd like to work for myself because I had been fired from a lot of jobs in my 20s. But I didn't know what to do. I really had no idea. And it was so interesting because I didn't start out looking to be a real estate investor. I actually met a couple guys, and these guys were driving fancy cars and they were always spending money. And I'm like, what do you guys do? And they go, oh, we fix up houses. Like, we rehab houses and then we sell them. So in my naive mind, I heard I decorate houses for a living and I sell them. And I was like, I have excellent taste. I can decorate houses. How hard could decorating a house be? So I literally dorm because this is before internet. So all my stuff was before. I go to the courthouse. I'm writing down all the foreclosures. I've got that map book. I'm driving around with my baby, knocking on doors. And I find this house and I finally put this deal together. My first deal with this lady, Barbara. She moves out. I moved in and I was like, okay, I'm going to decorate this house and it's going to be great. I'm going to make money. But once I painted it, carpeted it, and actually decorated it, I remember looking around at the kitchen and the bathrooms and being like, this house needs so much work. So I did not have the money. I did not have the skills. And I actually started going to Home Depot and taking classes. So I take like how to lay tile and buy it, and I'd go tile the kitchen. And I learned, I swear, learned how to like do knockdown and did the walls. I learned how to put in toilets and I did the toilets. So I rehabbed this house, mostly 90% of it by myself. And when it was all done, I made $22,000. And at that time, I was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen this much money ever. I don't know anyone that has $22,000. I'm totally rich. I'm doing it again. And I did it again. And then after about the second or third time, I thought, you know what? I could make this a whole career. I enjoy doing this. I like the people. I like the real estate. I knew nothing. I literally was a seat of the pants learner because there weren't seminars. It wasn't the internet. It was none of that stuff that people have today. I kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. And then I don't know, a few years in, I learned how to wholesale. I was like, wow, I could like get the house and I could just wholesale it and make money and not have to rehab it. And then, a few more years in, I learned just more and more and more and more and more. And somewhere along the way, I started buying rentals because I started thinking like I can't do this work forever. And you're living kind of deal to deal, really. And kind of like you, I bought my first rental. I didn't know what I was doing. And after like two rentals and all the people calling me and just bugging me, I was like, I hate this business. But I actually did find someone and I took a class and learned like how to be a good landlord and how to do kind of like you, put the systems, do this, do that. And then I started buying rentals. That would have been like 25 years ago. And then I never stopped.
That's
I never stopped. I just
fantastic.
kept buying them. So I literally am like that person that was so naive that I thought rehabbing and decorating were truly from the bottom of my soul, thought they were the same thing. I had no idea what I was getting into. So I think that being so naive, I didn't have a lot of fear because I didn't realize what I was doing. And then by the second house, I was like, I can fix that house. I just learned all these new skills. So I've got tools. So after by the third or fourth one, that's when I started thinking like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? Holy cow. So I kind of got scared after I started.
I absolutely love how you really just made yourself figure things out. That's something that I tell with my kids. So I have four kids, you know that, Dwan, and everybody else on the show knows that I have four kids. And my kids, they say, Daddy, I don't know how to do this. And I look at them and I say, hey, you're a Heiner. We Heiners figure things out. Go figure it out. Daddy had to figure it out to be this, where we are now, how to invest. We have to figure it out. If you just throw up your hands and give up, then that doesn't get you anywhere. In fact, you
Gets you
lose. Like
nowhere.
you're failure. We don't fail. We keep moving forward. In fact, our failures help us to keep moving forward, and
Yes,
we
they
don't
do.
give up. We're persistent, but we figure it out. I love that. So what I got to jump into
And
the
I gotta
idea
tell you
of.
just real quick,
Oh, go ahead.
and I always tell people this sort of as a joke. My separation was not good, and I didn't have any money. So I lost my house in foreclosure. I lost my car. My husband left. Like I went through all of that. I was so angry. And when I did this first rehab, I just remember like how free I felt, like ripping things off the walls and using tools and sledgehammering things. And I was like, oh, so all that aggression I had, I took it out on that first house, which it was beautiful and it's done. I'm like, listen, instead of therapy, if you ever go through a bad divorce or any bad, rehab a house and take all your aggression out on that house. And then you make a bunch of money afterwards and you feel better. So that was my therapy. Rehabbing was my literal therapy.
I love it. So, do you continually do any flipping or rehabbing now, or is it mostly rentals and wholesaling?
So we do rehab a few here and there, not as many, but we wholesale. So I wholesale all over the country. Mostly we do like Ohio, I like to use like in the Midwest, Ohio, Iowa, Texas, Florida, just a few, Denver. We live in Denver, so Colorado. So we kind of wholesale around there. So I'm always wholesaling something. But at the point that we're in today, we're really looking for this downtown and these commercial buildings. And all the rentals that we have, so many of them are paid off now. So, once they're paid off, you're not getting 250 a month, you're getting, 1,500 or 2,000 a month, and that really adds up. And but I still always like to wholesale. I like to teach people how to wholesale because it's a way people can get some quick cash that will maybe give them the freedom to think like, okay, I've got a little bit of cash, I flipped one deal, maybe I can get into some long-term things. So I like to encourage people to start, something easy. But I don't know how anyone that really wants to have long-term wealth can do it without owning rentals and having that passive income. And we definitely have property managers. I could not live one day if I had to manage all those properties by myself. I'd be like, oh my God. Because one of our buildings is 4 stories. It's all commercial downstairs, it's all residents up here, it's all businesses up there, it's a restaurant up there. There's so many people in that building. If I had to handle that building for one week, I would kick everybody out and start over.
So how do you? I love the idea also of wholesaling too. Me, I love rental properties, long term passive income, but at the same time, people do get started with investing in real estate to get
They do.
rentals. They need cash, and wholesaling is a good way to do it. So how do you wholesale a property? Like, give us the broad overview, but then I definitely want to dive into how we can do that ourselves.
So I have a little bit different business model when people initially, like when I meet like what I call like fresh meat, like straight up out, like straight up, they don't know nothing at all. I usually encourage people to wholesale because I'm like, listen, you can give the homeowners a $10 deposit. You can get the house under contract. You can sell it to a landlord or a rehabber. You don't have to fix it up. You don't have to put anything in it. If you screw up the whole deal, all you did was lose some time, but you got yourself an education. So wholesale a couple, get a little money in the bank, get a little security that you can leave your job because people, they don't want to quit their job. And then I always tell people like get into rentals and get in. But something that's really good right now is subject twos because people are freaking out about the market. And we have so many subject twos where people just deed the house over. And then I take those and turn them around, sell them to people that need owner financing. So we make a fortune on our subject twos. We do so good on our rentals. So the wholesaling basically is just finding someone in distress. So, and I know people use different terms like fix and flip, which to me, that's like, okay, you rehabbed it. So you didn't flip it. Wholesaling is getting the contract, selling it to a landlord or a rehabber, selling it, making the money in between, and no skin on you. And but so I tell people that doesn't mean you can just like, oh, the deal didn't work because you're helping a homeowner that's in distress. So you got to hold up your end of the bargain, and because they're counting on you. But I still like to wholesale. We wholesale probably 20 deals a year.
So how do you find what's the general business model? Is it like you said, get a property under contract where you essentially have a contract to purchase the house, and then you find somebody else to like, how do you find, number one, find the properties, and number two, how do you know you're going to actually make money when you sell it to an investor?
So I think just like you, we run the numbers, and I don't use like Zillow and all those places to run the numbers. The areas that we wholesale in, we have like boots on the ground kind of people that know the areas and know what's happening, like, and we just assess what the house is worth. And then, I don't know if it's a $200,000 house and maybe they owe 200,000. I'm actually going to call the bank and do a short sale and get it down. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I actually coined and trademarked the term short sales 30 years ago.
Oh my, no way.
Yes, I have my first book was called Short Sale Pre-Foreclosure Investing.
Wow.
And way back, it's it's called a supplemental trademark because the term short sales applies to stock markets and different things. So as far as short sales applies to real estate investing, I have the R trademark to short sales.
That's awesome. Now,
I am the queen of short sales.
So what can we do? Well, short selling is where you pay less than what the bank owns or has borrowed, or the person's borrowed from the bank.
Yep.
But in wholesaling, does that apply with wholesaling as well?
Yeah. So what I do is so we always just have ads out. We have marketing that's out there because we're always looking for things that we might want to keep because we're still always looking for single family homes. But sometimes the deal just comes along that you just know it's just a good wholesale deal. And so if someone owes what their house is, maybe 200, they're worth 200, they owe what it's worth, I'll call the bank, I'll give them my super smooth trademark 3-step short sale process, and I get the bank to take half. If I can get the bank to take half, I'll wholesale it, or maybe I'll add it to my own rental portfolio, or I'll do something because I can make like a nice fat paycheck on that.
Well,
If it's
okay. Hold on. Because how do you get a bank to take half? That sounds amazing to be able to get a bank to take half of what's owed.
So it honestly, they're so easy. We've done hundreds of so many thousands and thousands. So basically, and the thing is, even short sales work in all the markets because people don't look at the bank's point of view. From the bank's end, like the CEO of Bank of America put out a statement and says when the bank serves a homeowner foreclosure documents, you're in foreclosure. The bank loses 40% of the value right off the top. Immediately, they lose 40% of the value because they have to have attorney's fees. People might file bankruptcy. That's a bankruptcy attorney. It's a foreclosure attorney. It's forced insurance. It's protecting the property. It's paying the real estate taxes. So the bank loses 40% right off the top. So if you approach it to the bank using the bank's lingo, I'm really only asking them to give me 10% less than they're going to make anyway. They're going to lose 40% right off the bat. I want to buy it at 50. So we're like this close right out of the gate. So I talk about the money, the lending, the loan loss reserves, the quarterly reports, all the different things that the bank looks at. And even if you get a homeowner that files bankruptcy, shoot, they'll drag it on for 2 years. And the bank is just eaten up with fees during that whole time. So they lose money anyway.
Because they're already going to be losing money. So
They're
they're
already going to
realizing
lose
that
40% of the value right off the top. So now, if a person works it out, gets a loan modification, gets back on their payments or whatever, but when they actually get as far along that they say, here is your foreclosure notice, at that point, they're going to lose 40% of the value because remember, they've got to put on forced insurance now. They've got to pay the real estate taxes. They have to preserve the property. They have to hire an attorney to do all the filings. And then they have to get it back. And then they have to get it listed. And then they have to get it on the market. And then they got to pay the real estate commission. And by the time all that's done, they're losing 40% of the value anyway.
Now, I totally get that. Now, how do you find the right, like, do you just call up, like, let's say if it's Bank of America, the mortgage is with Bank of America. Do you call up just the 1-800 number and say, hey, the seller is going to go into foreclosure. How do I do I talk to the mortgage like department? And then how do you get to the person that actually says yes and signs off? Because I'm pretty sure it's not just the
department is called loss mitigation. Loss mitigation. So, when a homeowner misses a payment, they already have a letter. Call the bank, blah, 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 we're going to work this out. So that person right there, that actually is a person that works in the department of loss mitigation. Now, there are a lot of people that call us that aren't behind on payments. Like we did a subject 2 recently. The guy just said, listen, I got transferred. I have to move. And this was just a few months ago. He's like, and I have this day and my credit's perfect. My job requires my credit. I have a security clearance, but I have to move right now. They're not paying me to move. If you can just make my mortgage payment next month and don't miss any payments, just gave us the house and walked off. Just like boom. So a house like that, it's not even 1 month behind on payments. I'm taking and keeping that house. But if someone has a house that needs a lot of work and needs a lot of stuff, I can't wholesale it like that. And unless I want to rehab it and keep it, so I would rather try to short it and just maybe flip it. So when I get people like that, oh, what it's worth, behind on payments, already got the letters from the bank, and they're like this close to losing their house, it's just as easy for me to short it and then wholesale it. So that's kind of my decision to wholesale. But like the guy Michael that just came up and it's like, I have to move like right now. Can you make my payment next month? I will sign over my entire deed. I'll give you everything I need. Keeping that for subject 2. Someone's got a really clean, beautiful house. It's like rental.
But how do you find these properties though?
We have, I know this is going to sound like such an old fashioned thing, but I've been doing it for decades. We have all these bandit signs and we have people that drive neighborhoods and stick them in the yards of all the houses that are vacant. So they're not on street corners, they're on telephone poles. They're in the yards of all the houses that are vacant. So people that are driving through the neighborhood see your sign in the yard of vacant houses and they see 10 signs over a 10-block area and they assume you came in and bought up all the vacant houses. So then they come, hey, I'm behind on my payments. Saw you sign over on this street right there. Would you help me out? So I literally have people that go put signs all over the place in all the yards of vacant properties.
And you don't live in that city that you're doing that, right?
No, I have like real estate people. I work maybe with a RIA group, like, hey, go put some signs on. I'll give you whatever calls I get. I'll give you a fee. And we get on Craigslist a lot. So many people on Craigslist that are selling houses, and a lot of times they have their house for sale, for lease, for rent, because they can't afford to do it with the realtor because it's the numbers are too tight. So Craigslist is like a plethora of information off Craigslist. And then we always have things out on Facebook like, hey, behind your payments, call us. And we have people that take phone calls for us. So we just have things that are just about. And I don't know, we just get a lot of leads.
So how many people do you have working for you right now?
So I have, gosh, I don't know exactly. God, 1, 2, 3, like 10.
Wow. And so
Maybe.
you said
But
the people.
I also have some VAs and some stuff that I don't have like actual employees. I'm not, and I'm not a fan of having a bunch of employees because I feel like that's sort of like adult daycare babysitting is what it ends up being.
It is.
And if you have too many, if you get like more than 10, and right now I have like 6 women, and it's like, nothing against women because I'm a woman. Oh my God, it's like, girl, seriously, why is all the drama all the time? Now I have like a couple property managers who are my gold. And then I have people that just do other little things. And then I also have people that like are sort of bird dogs. And if they get a deal and like we wholesale it, we give them, like 10% or whatever the fee is. So I like to have people that are just like the 1099 sort of people, and not the people that like they come in and this is where they're at. And I have people that I work all over the country with on my real estate business and my websites and my funnels and all
That's
my
great.
stuff like that.
I personally love buying properties from wholesalers. Like they're some of my favorite people to buy from because they did all the hard work talking to people, negotiating, all that sort of stuff. And as long as it fits my numbers, as an investor, I'm like, shoot, I'll pay you $5,000 or however much, whatever it is. As long as it fits my numbers, you worked hard. You did a good job. Let me go ahead and pay you because I don't want to do that wholesaling stuff.
It's a great
way to make money, but it's a lot of work.
Like the short sales is like if it's in Denver, for example, and we're buying Iowa currently for long term, and I've got 20 rehabbers here. I can just say, hey guys, here's this house. Go look at whoever wants it can have it, and it's gone like in 2 hours.
That is fantastic. Now, with the market now changing, it seems like the market's changing. Interest rates are going up, which means prices will definitely come down eventually. But with that, maybe there might be some economic turbulence and people might not be able to pay their mortgage. It seems like the subject to or the Dwan short sale is an amazing thing coming up. It's going to be a really good. Do you teach this? Like, do you have any courses that you teach people how to do this, or is this something you do for yourself?
Oh yeah. If people go to my website, which is just dwanderful.com, and they opt in, I've got 4 free ebooks for people. And I do webinars, on wholesaling, short sales, and subject twos, because those are some of the easiest things, I think. And I do also one-on-one coaching with people. So when I have a one-on-one person, I'm like, listen, the bottom line is we're going to own a whole bunch of rentals, and that's going to be your baby at the end of the day. And so I lead people to the same path that you do. Because if you wholesale, I mean, it's great to get a $30,000 check, but you're creating a job for yourself to constantly have to wholesale. And when you want to take 6 weeks off and go rolling through Europe, you can't do that if you're just flipping houses all the time. So you've got to have that passive income so you can do the things that you do.
Everybody, you need to go get the books and get everything. Because honestly, this type of right now, we've gone 13 probably plus years of growth or economic just up. There's going to be a correction sometime, or something's going to happen where it's going to be a place where people are going to have to sadly lose their home. But if people like us, like Dwan and myself, as well as all of you listening, if you're able to do this, you're going to be able to help people out of a hard spot. Like literally, we do this to help people. It so happens that we make money. We know how to capitalize on it. But you need to learn this as well. So definitely check out all of Dwan's stuff. So Dwan, this is amazing insights. I want people to check it out. Now, your podcast. I was just on there too, which is terrific. It's great being able to be on each other's podcasts. Now, with that, talk to us how people can find you. How can they reach out to you? Because we got dwanderful.com. What else how can they find you?
So Facebook is wonderful. Instagram is wonderful. YouTube is wonderful. And then on TikTok, I started TikTok back when COVID first started, trying to mess around with it. And I didn't really know what I was doing. And then I lost the page I had that was wonderful, and I couldn't figure out how to get it back. So now I'm Dwantastic on TikTok.
Love it.
Just don't know the play on my name. So it's just really easy. You just do @Dwanderful and I'm everywhere.
DWAN is Dwan, so make sure you do that, man. Dwan, it's been
Dwanderful.
yes, it's
I'm
been
super
terrific
easy
having
to
you on,
find.
getting to know you. So, and I know I'm going to be sending you my shirt, the Successfully Unemployed shirt, so
Oh,
you can
you'll
be
be seeing
rocking
me on
that.
Instagram, Gordon. Look at my shirt. I am
Yeah.
definitely going to put it up there and take pictures in it and send it around, and always encourage people to come back and listen to you and your show too.
Thank you so much, Dwan. Hey, it's great getting to know you and great having you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening.